Welcome to episode number 284 of the Marine Layer podcast. We welcome on our friend Marc Luino. You know him better as GiraffeNeckMarc on YouTube and the co-host of the Mets Up podcast. We talk about the Mariners-Mets series this past weekend, how the Mariners stack up against some of the other American League contenders, and how Marc views them against really the entire league. And we'll also talk a little bit of MLB expansion that Rob Manfred mentioned on the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast.
Here's your guys' reminder before we start the show. Make sure you're staying on top of all of our stuff. If you want to find all our episodes, if you want to find merch of the podcast, if you want to sign up for our Patreon, that's all over at our website. It's in one spot, all in one spot. That's marinelayerpod.com, one-stop shop. You can find everything over there. And our live show schedule, which again, big reminder, this Saturday after the game against the A's, we are doing our next live show. It's back at the Hall on Occidental. That's on the north end of Lumen Field on Occidental Avenue. We are fired up about it. These post-game shows have been such a blast, interacting with you guys, taking your guys' questions, hanging out post-game, and we're going to be doing it again on Saturday. So come on out after the A's game. That's over at the Hall on Occidental. We would love, love, love to have you out. So make sure you come show up for that, and then find everything Marine Layer Pod related over at our website. You can also follow us across social media at Marine Layer Pod.
Let's get it rolling.
The pitch from Acevedo. A drive deep to right field. Down the line. The Mariners win this game 2-1. The dream lives. They're going to the playoffs. On one from Jansen. There you go. Left field. We got a tie ball game. Julio. Oh, baby, what a moment. Tie ball game at 7-7.
And we welcome you to this episode of the Marine Layer podcast, part of the Just Baseball Podcast Network. Recording on Monday evening, August 18th, post-game. I think the only accurate way to describe a game as bad as Monday night's game is that Carlos Vargas outpitched Logan Gilbert.
Dude, Carlos Vargas now has a lower ERA than Logan Gilbert.
And he threw more innings than Logan Gilbert.
Well, today, yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact now on the year he somehow has a lower ERA is one of those things in baseball that makes objectively no sense.
If I were to sit here and strip the names off of this, Lyle, and say one pitcher went 2 innings and has now a 3.83 ERA, and another pitcher went 3 innings, didn't give up a single run, and has a 3.69 ERA, you'd be like, wow.
I'd say
pretty clear.
I'd say, oh great, so Logan Gilbert threw 3 good innings and got hurt again.
But no. It might have been worse than getting hurt. He got blown up against the Phillies.
No, it's not worse than getting hurt.
Sorry, no, it's not worse than getting hurt. Okay. Misconstrued my words, but it was not good.
No, it wasn't. He was getting crushed.
Dude, George and Logan in back-to-back starts find these pockets and could not get anybody out against either of these teams.
And it's funny, we talked about on Monday's podcast, we've talked about a little bit that those two have had major struggles the third time through the order this year. This time, it wasn't even the third time through for these guys. It didn't take them much time. Logan, basically none at all. He just got hit really hard.
It doesn't make sense. They have the deepest repertoire of any pitcher in that rotation. They are the best equipped to go through the lineup as many times as possible. To watch this happen against a Phillies team, which for the last 2.5 months has been meh. Meh.
Dude, what has happened with this rotation this year? If Brian Wu was not pitching the way he was pitching, and Brian Wu was just having a average or slightly above average season, what would the narrative be around the rotation right now? I think we'd be having a conversation that would not be fun to have.
There's no reason a rotation this talented should be doing what they're currently doing. Did you know, I'm sure most people will realize this by the time it comes out, that home run Trey Turner hit, that was his first home run at home this season. That's a hitter's park. Trey Turner has a $300 million contract, and that was the first home run he hit at home. We were texting one of our buddies who was a Phillies fan about this, and he could not believe what was going on between the Phillies offense and Logan Gilbert. Could not believe it. Or couldn't believe that Ranger Suarez had 10 strikeouts into the 7th inning. Ranger Suarez has been good this year. He hasn't been as good recently, but...
No, last 6-ish starts, Rangers really struggled, but all he needed was a good old outing against your Seattle Mariners to get back on track, and he carved them up tonight. I forget at what point in the start it was, but speaking of texting Phillies fans, you also texted friend of the pod, Hembo, and we're just like, white flag. Nothing but white flag emoji.
The Phillies, less than a month ago, lost a series to the White Sox.
Yeah.
And they've been essentially a 500 team since the start of June.
Dude, why can't this team pitch on the road? Why is this continuously a problem? Because it's every guy not named Brian Wu that has this issue.
And we'll never know, really, if the Mariners would have scored the 7 runs they scored tonight if the Phillies didn't just clobber them early and the Mariners could just feast when the Phillies are just trying to get strikes and end the game. But, like, the offense did its job. Cole Young, shout out Cole Young. Dude hit a fucking tank in that game off of, I would have said it was more impressive off of Jordan Romano, but I think it was our friend who's a Phillies fan who literally said that Romano's been the worst pitcher in baseball this year. So take that for what you will. But Cole Young hit an absolute tank today. Mariners offense manages to scrape across 7 runs still, all coming at the end of the game when it's out of hand. But still, man, 12 runs? The fact that the Mariners needed Carlos Vargas to throw 3 shutout and they still gave up 12 earned runs is frustrating.
Dude, like I'm looking at these road ERAs. Kirby's road ERA is over 5. Logan entering this Monday start is 4.86, so that's about to go over 5. Luis's is nearly 5. Bryce's is 6. It's crazy.
Which means the Mariners, of course, Lau, are going to beat Christopher Sanchez tomorrow and probably give up 2 runs total as a team.
Yeah, I hope so.
Let's put a prediction in for when this comes out.
Hopefully Christopher Sanchez gets blown up, but you know what? I'm just going to say he goes 6 shutout. 6 shutout for Christopher Sanchez with 8 punch-outs, because then guess what? If he does something worse than that, we can all happily celebrate me being wrong. So 6 shutout for Christopher Sanchez on Tuesday.
Christopher Sanchez in the second half has a 2.27 ERA. Right now, he's the Cy Young favorite in the National League, roughly. Him and Skeens. So good luck, guys. But then again, they beat Tarek Skubal this year. They've beaten the other aces in baseball. That hasn't been as much of an issue. But apparently when it's not the ace and it's Ranger Suarez instead, the lineup didn't look very good for the first 6 innings of the game today. So go figure. But yeah, given how this road trip is gone, the Mariners will, in Bryce's debut, Bryce will come back. He'll pitch 5 really good innings. Christopher Sanchez will struggle. The Mariners will win the game tomorrow, and then they'll lose it frustrating as hell game 3 of this series on Wednesday, just to cap it off.
Against the one starter you should beat in Jesus Luzardo.
Correct. Who's going to go 7 shutout.
I mean, and to be fair, Luzardo's had his starts this year where he's been really sharp. He has just not been as good as either Ranger or Sanchez.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying not to overreact. It's a bad road trip. This is a bad road trip. Trying not to overreact. Trying really hard not to overreact. Because it was, as of recording, exactly 1 week ago that we pushed out an episode that was literally titled Best Mariners Team Since ... question mark. Meaning ever. Could be ever. That was 7 days ago. So I'm not going to get ahead of ourselves here. But I also can't be very happy with what we're watching on the road. At least they're not losing any ground, but that's what's kind of annoying because they could go out there and just take hold of the division. They could take hold of the wild card even more than they already have, but instead they're not.
Oh, them and the Astros are having a total mid-off right now. You're right. The Mariners could have taken the division by now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the Astros at some point earlier today had been outscored on a run of like 22-0.
I think we're going to have to watch very closely at how the next 2 elongated series go, in the sense of the next homestand and then the upcoming road stand. AK, what do the Mariners do against the A's and Padres at home? And then what do they do on their next road trip, which is not an easy road trip in its own right, and it's also going to be a very long one because it's 3 cities, not close to home. It's Cleveland, and then Tampa, and then Atlanta. And I know Atlanta hasn't been very good, but
it hasn't mattered. Look at this road trip.
Right. Hasn't mattered. They still have good players on their team. You have to travel a long way. We're going to need to see where they're at essentially at the end of September 7th. And if we're sitting there at the end of September 7th and they've played basically 3 whole weeks of bad baseball, yeah, we may need to have a real conversation. I'm like you. I'm trying not to totally overreact to one road trip, but this road trip has not been fun. It has not been fun at all.
If they get to September 7th and they're in the same position they're at right now, let's say everyone holds ground in that point. Right now, the Yankees, Red Sox, and Mariners are all tied. Ironically, Lyle, you're going to get a kick out of this. Exactly 54%, all three of them. 3.5 games up on the rest of the field in the wild card. And the Mariners currently sit 1.5 games back of the Astros. If on September 7th, all of these remain the exact same, I'll be totally fine. That's it. Like, again, remember, the Mariners haven't lost much ground during this road trip, which is a credit to all the other teams around them for also just being bad over this same stretch. Maintain this current position, and I'll manage.
That's fine, but also win the damn West.
Please.
You are never going to catch the Astros weaker than right now. They're decimated with injuries. I didn't think their deadline was all that impressive. Go catch them. By the way, Yordan is starting a rehab assignment this week, but also he's going to need to ramp back up for a little bit. So, you've still got time. 2, he wasn't hitting that great before he got hurt. Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it. Like, he is so hurt. I remember someone was mentioning this to him, just like how many injuries Yordan Alvarez, because of like his size, what he has to go through. Like, I'm going to have to see him healthy for like a month to believe that he's actually healthy, that he's hitting well, and that he's back, and that he feels comfortable, that he can stand on his legs. Like, he's had a lot of leg injuries. Just remember, and I want people to think about this when you think about Laz too, because they're similar sized players. Think about how much weight you have to carry around if you're that big. It can take a toll on you, and you have to do other things to sort of offset that. And if you can't, then you'll end up like Yordan right now, who can't stay healthy. He's had seasons where he's totally healthy. He's had seasons where he can't stay healthy at all.
Right.
Oh, and Hader's hurt.
This is what I mean. I mean, we don't have to list all the guys that are hurt. We've done it a bunch of times. That whole team's hurt.
He's newly hurt.
Right. And he's going to be out for at least a few weeks. They need to go win the West this year.
Yeah.
You have never been presented a better opportunity in the last 10 years than this. Go win it.
Before we get to Mark, Victor Robles has gotten handed down his suspension. The league's going to suspend him 10 games. Just a note to you guys, we are recording this specific part on Tuesday after we've seen the suspension come out. But now, once Victor Robles gets activated back to the Mariners after his rehab assignment is over, he's going to get suspended 10 games. He's going to appeal it. So I'm guessing Lyle will go down to a week, but tiny bit longer initially off the bat than we thought.
I figured it would be somewhere between 6 to 8 games. Maybe 5 to 8 games is right, because I think Manny Machado got about 5 when he threw the bat back in 2012, all those years ago. But I guess this is what happens when you throw your bat. It is looked at so much differently than when you charge the mound, if you throw your helmet down, if you threw the bat down, etc. The bigger question now, because we already talked about everything that went down with the fight and with the altercation when it happened to Robles on Sunday, this is now more about how the Mariners maneuver this until he comes back.
The easiest way to maneuver it, let's just start off with where the Mariners were, what they were thinking initially. Before he threw his bat at the pitcher, they were targeting next week, the week before September starts, to bring him back, once the Mariners get back at home against the A's and against the Padres. Now, I think they're going to try, if his rehab assignment allows him to be stretched back to September 1st, which I believe it does, then they're going to wait until September 1st when the roster's stretched to 28, and the Mariners are essentially just going to they'll add him, but they're essentially just not going to add a position player, and they're going to, add one other pitcher on the other side, but that part doesn't really matter as much. I think they will just play essentially, quote-unquote, a man down for the first 10 days of September, and then after that, they will have the extra player on their roster, I would guess. If we're talking about like Robles specifically, I think they'll just kind of leave him on the roster once it expands.
That's probably the most logical, and they just play with a 26-man roster instead of a 28-man once September 1st hits.
Or 27. It'd be 27. You still have the pitcher.
Right, because you'll have the pitcher. Okay. So, is there any chance they do anything else?
I don't see any benefit now that he's going to be suspended of adding him earlier. Because regardless, what's going to hurt Vic in this is going to hurt him no matter when you activate him. The bummer about all of this, as I think I mentioned when we were talking about the incident to start, is that he now, like, once his rehab assignment is done, that's when the suspension kicks in. He can't play in games for those 10 days. He's doing all this work on his rehab assignment to get himself game ready to play for the Mariners and get him back up to speed. And Lyle, if this 10-game suspension gets upheld, he will have worked his butt off to get those 50 plate appearances in and feeling comfortable against velocity, against breaking stuff again after all of this time off. And then he's going to have to sit cold turkey for 10 days. He can't play in games at any level while he's suspended.
He can still work out, so he can still do BP early, and he can still hit off the traject machine down in the clubhouse. So there are things he can still do. But yes, he will not see live pitching for 10 days.
Yeah, it's not, unfortunately, not the same.
No, and it hurts him. It really does. Because, again, like you said, it's 10 days off without baseball. He's already trying to ramp the plate appearances back up. And for a guy that had a penciled-in starting spot on the roster at the start of the year, I don't know exactly what his role is going to be now. He'll probably just platoon with Canzone when he comes back. But it is a little murkier now than it was. Not that he's not going to be on the roster, just how much he's going to play.
It does not give the Mariners many fun choices for what they want. I guess it helps Dylan Moore and Donovan Solano out right now.
Is there any chance they could just try to get the suspension over with as soon as possible? And you play a few days, starting next week with a man down until he's back on September 3rd, 4th. AKA, like, could you move on from Dylan Moore and play a man down for a few days? Because the Mariners often play like they only have 12 position players anyway.
They could. It might be better if they do it sooner. But with the rosters expanding, I just don't see the benefit in doing it.
Yes, but like, guys.
All right, to be fair, it's not a benefit to keep Dylan Moore on the roster. Let me amend my statement.
Dylan Moore, I'm going to say it again. I really hate doing this, having to talk about people's jobs, but for some reason, the Mariners force us to keep doing it with the decisions they make. So here we go. In the last 3 months, Dylan Moore is OPSing, not batting average, not on base, OPSing, on base plus slugging percentage, 133 against left-handed pitching over the last 3 months. Somehow he has made his way into the starting lineup here on Tuesday. I don't know what to say here, guys. They sent down Miles Mastrobuoni twice, despite hitting 300 over a 3-month stretch. I don't really. If you had to play a man down without Dylan Moore for the next few days, I could live with it.
I could live with it too. Given their approach to every non-Leody Taveras player on a roster, with how they've managed it this season, though, I just don't see it. I think they'll wait until September.
Do they think they're fooling people at this point? Seriously, like,
I hope not. Like, we were tweeting out plenty of stats on Monday about it. It's as clear as day.
I don't.
There's something there, something that clearly that's not public, that is keeping him on the roster. I don't know what it is, because everything you and I can dig up gives zero case for it. So
see, my fear is the case is, well, Mastrobuoni has an option, which with 35 games to go is a totally unserious reason to be sending somebody down.
Mm-hmm. But for that exact reason of operating the roster makes me think they're just going to wait for Vic until September 1st. And they're just going to leave the roster how it is.
So you think he might be here all year?
I hope not. Our friend Jade was tweeting out about that possibility.
Well, can't they just bring Ben Williamson back on September 1st, even if you have to play a man down? Couldn't you make that move on September 1st once you feel like Ben potentially has had enough plate appearances down in AAA and you make that swap?
I'm sure you could, but then they would have to cut somebody. And then it all comes down to the cutting somebody besides Leody Taveras.
Yeah, and then even if you call Ben back up, Mastro's still down in the minors. Leo Rivas is still down in the minor. Dude, I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I don't know what you want people to tell us. Like, we get questions every single day about this. Guys, I promise, if we had an answer, we'd be giving you an answer. Like, we are as befuddled as everybody else.
We don't like saying I don't know, but truly in this situation, I have no clue why they're doing this.
Again, I don't know what to tell people. But
regardless, this situation for Vic does not help him out at all. It does not help him. It does not help the Mariners that they have to play a man down this entire time. It does not benefit anybody. So
yeah.
Don't throw your bat at the pitcher. Throw it anywhere else. Anywhere else. I'm going to repeat it. If you're ever mad and you're playing baseball and you want to throw your bat, throw it anywhere besides the pitcher. Anywhere besides it.
Just spike it into the ground.
Thank you. Yep, you can throw it as hard as you want.
I still stand with Victor Robles. But yes, spike it into the ground for the sake of Major League Baseball not giving you a 10-game suspension. Quick pause. Let's talk to you about our friends over at Pagach's Pub 85. That's over in Kirkland. Awesome spot to go hang out. Mariners are playing the tail end of their regular season. You guys are staying on top of all the games. We know you are. That's why you're listening to these episodes. So if you want to go find a place to watch these games and hang out with your friends, head over there for some great food. There's games. There's 20 TVs in the place, so you can watch all the sports you desire, especially with football right around the corner as well. And if you go during happy hour, there are drink specials that are $3 and $4 for happy hour, which are 2 to 6 p.m. on Monday through Friday. The deals are awesome. So all of that is over at Pagach's Pub 85 in Kirkland.
It was good to catch up with the other half of the Mets fandom. We started with Frank before the series, one tone. We ended the weekend with a different tone of Mets fandom and our friend GiraffeNeckMarc. But he's not just a Mets guy, as you guys know. Very popular YouTuber, GiraffeNeckMarc on YouTube, almost 300,000 subscribers. He talks about all the teams in Major League Baseball. He had some very nice things to say about the Mariners. And I really enjoyed the last bit of our conversation. We got to talk about expansion a little bit. Expansion and the realignment that Rob Manfred talked about on the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast that I thought was a good starting point. Maybe that's an off-season subject for us. I think that would be good. A good off-season topic of how the Mariners could make that work.
Sounds like it could potentially be a lockout topic.
Perfect. We have a lot of time to cover.
Yeah, we do. Anyway, the point being is TJ's right. Marc's the man. He's been a friend of ours for a while now. Awesome dude. Ball knower. And to sit and talk with him for a while was a blast. Especially right after a Mariners-Mets series, and especially with somebody that can preview the whole league with us.
We won't keep you guys any longer. Let's get you to the interview with Marc Luino. All right, we got our friend Marc Luino on with us. You know him better as GiraffeNeckMarc, almost at 300,000 on YouTube. Marc, congrats. Also, that's an amazing number. Also the co-host of the Mets Up podcast with your friend James. They do some awesome work over there. You can listen to them talk very positively about the Mets-Mariners series from this past weekend if you're that curious, or you can come over to Lyle and I, and we can sarcastically say that the Mariners are back in the gutter yet again. Question to lead you off here, Marc. What percentage of Frank the Tank's rage do you think is warranted for Mets fans these days?
You know, this year is one of those in particular where I do think his crash outs feel a little bit more warranted. I think myself behind closed doors, maybe not on camera, has had similar-ish crash outs this season with some of the decision-making and the way that the Mets have blown games, even how we lost Friday night to you guys while I was in the ballpark. That was one of those that I quickly wanted to forget. I'd say he's been about 35% right this year. I know a lot of people like to say Frank was right, but this season he's been a little bit more, but, you know, broke clocks right twice a day as well.
What's his approval rating these days?
I think it's still very low. I think among Mets fans it's extremely low. I don't really know actual Mets fans that are like taking in his content. I do think it's for everybody else to point and laugh at us at.
How have you dealt with the last 2 months of Mets baseball? Obviously, this past weekend was good, and you win 2 of 3, and you win the game in Williamsport. But over the last 2 months, the narrative's been out there about how the Mets have played, and it hasn't been all that pretty. So how have you taken it in?
Not well at all. Like I really do think that this team should be very good. I mean, they spend all this money. They have good baseball players. The pitching is always going to be a little bit shaky with the way that David Stearns operates. But the way that these last few months have gone, it's exhausting. It's tiring. I'll tell you what, there's a lot more nights going out and hanging out with friends rather than being like, you know what, I need to make sure I stay around and watch this Mets game start to finish, because there's only so much you can take. And when these 2 months have been as awful as they have, I think the Mets and the Yankees were basically the worst team in baseball over the same stretch. Worse than the Rockies, who might be the worst team ever to play in Major League Baseball history. So to let the people at home know how that feels, it feels pretty horrible. It's not fun.
I'm looking at the names that that the Mets are throwing out there on the mound. Like you said it, they're not cheap. So why do the names look cheap for the players on the mound?
Yeah, that's just kind of how David Stearns operates. I mean, we've had some injuries because he doesn't. I think he only wants to spend money on marquee pitching. And truthfully, this offseason, the only two marquee pitchers were Fried and Burns that were truly available. Burns obviously blew out his elbow, so that was kind of a good miss by us. And then Max Fried, the Yankees gave him 8 years. There was just no place in the world that David Stearns was ever going to hand that out to Max Fried. So I think he's just waiting for the right guy, and or they really think this pitching lab in the minors is going to just start churning out talent. And we saw a little bit of it in the series against you guys with Nolan McLean pitching on Saturday. So I think he's just trying to kind of get to the point where that minor league system, similar to yours, you just churn out these absolute horses week in, year out, that can go out and be cheap, free, awesome pitching.
How good can McLean and guys like Tong be when they get here? Is there upside true top of a rotation starters?
I think Tong more so. McLean, I still think is going to be a very good starter. I don't know where his ceiling is just yet. His fastball really isn't very good. I know that sounds crazy because he throws 96, but the shape isn't particularly great. The difference maker is that the sweeper / slider and curveball, those are pitches that we don't see in Major League Baseball. The RPMs are higher than we've seen on any pitch this season for those two pitches respectively. The control and the command that he has with those pitches, they help get out both righties and lefties. I think McLean's going to be more of the dog, Matt Harvey type guy in this rotation for projecting out for the future, where he's going to come at you, he's going to throw hard, he's going to attack the zone, look to strike you out, look to get weak contact, where Jonah Tong is that guy who could be a future number one. He has such an insane ceiling. He's so freaky with what his pitch shapes are. His repertoire is crazy. He just got up to AAA recently and dominated. It's making Mets fans think that maybe there's even an outside shot he can make a start this season because he's that good.
That's crazy. All right, let me follow up on one thing you said. You said the Mets have played about as bad a baseball as the Rockies have in the last 2 months, and you said the Rockies might be the worst team of all time. Are you taking the 2025 Rockies as the worst team ever over the 2024 White Sox?
Oh, man, that's so tough. The reason I say no is because the difference being that the Rockies have to play half their game in Coors and then reacclimate back to sea level when they go on the road, which is low-key the most difficult thing ever for the Rockies to do and a big reason why they struggle so much. That's something they kind of can't control. That's more environmental, and they kind of get screwed because they play in Colorado and in Denver, where the White Sox were just objectively horrible. There was almost no good players on that entire roster. 1 through 26, there's maybe 2 or 3 guys that you're going to be seeing in the league in the next couple of years.
But I don't even really think there are good players on the current Rockies team.
No,
right?
there's not
strike
many.
out more. They
There's not
strike
many.
out more. They've scored less runs.
I do like Ezekiel Tovar. I like Jordan Beck. And I do think, weirdly, they actually have some good pitchers, with Dollander and Seth Halverson, who just blew out his arm. But at the same time, doesn't really matter if you're a good pitcher. You're pitching half your games in Coors. You're going to stink.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I have one more Mets question for you before we get to the M's.
Hit me.
We asked it to our buddy Frank on Friday, and I want to ask it to you. Is Juan Soto a bust?
No, absolutely not. He is never going to live up to that contract. It is physically impossible. The amount of money that the Mets paid him is unreasonable. But at the same time, it's not my money. It's Steve Cohen's money. If he wants to spend $700 million on one player and make him the highest paid player in sports history, I am so happy that that's my owner. We had the Wilpons who wouldn't spend any amount of money. So for any Met fan to be upset at what Juan Soto's doing this year, which, by the way, still an incredible season at the plate. 30-20, first guy in the league with 30 homers, 20 stolen bases. The OPS is approaching 900. He's a horrendous right fielder, but we knew this. He can't play that position. He will be a DH. I don't care. When he hits at the plate, he's one of the 10 best hitters in baseball.
Yeah, he's physically back in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, that's why it's so crazy because his peak is insane, especially for the age that he's at. So when he doesn't play at 1,000 OPS, people are screaming bust. People are screaming wash, that he's overpaid. It's the same thing that we did with Harper the first year in Philly. We did it with Machado. We did it with Lindor. All these superstars, for the most part, have a little bit of an adjustment period when they go to a new team in a new city. Juan Soto is going to be just fine.
Yeah, He's 7th in OPS plus right now, I believe. I think he's doing okay.
Dang it, I hate that. Why couldn't he be top 5? This guy stinks. What a bust.
I just want you to know that every single Seattle Mariners fan on planet Earth is jealous of you guys having Steve Cohen as your owner.
Well, that's why I've always liked you guys, like the Mariners as an organization. Is it feels like we are like cousins, where it's just like for a while we had owners that didn't spend just like you guys, and there hasn't been a lot of success. There's been a lot of pain. There's been a lot of suffering. Feels like for me, if the Mets don't do well, I'm openly rooting for the Mariners to win the World Series this year.
And they have these awesome trades that we can go back and revisit. Like, talk about the legend of New York Mets second baseman Robinson Cano, or Seattle Mariners legend Jared Kelenic.
Well,
yeah, it did a lot.
the last time we talked about that trade, I think it was right in the middle of April of 23 when he was on his hot streak. But revisiting it now, the Mets sadly very much won that trade.
Yeah, but you guys got Gerson Batista too. Can't forget that. I don't know. It might be a little bit closer than we think.
Dude, I don't even know where he is now.
I think he's pitching for like the Long Island Ducks. I don't think anybody's paying that guy real money to play baseball anymore.
That sounds right.
Are there any, like Jared, is Jared still back up in the big leagues?
Well, they called him up a few weeks ago. Let's see if he's still up.
Is he even still on the Braves? What team is he on?
Yeah, he's still Brave.
Okay, yeah. I mean, what a crazy fall that guy had. And I wasn't rooting for it because I was like, I loved him as a prospect, but it is crazy how bad he's been.
Yeah.
His prospect profile changed so much over the years. Like, yeah. I really think his year home doing absolutely nothing was probably the worst thing that ever happened.
I don't think it gets talked about enough that year when a lot of these prospects did nothing. It pushed back their development a lot. Like, even for the Mets, like Brett Beatty and Ronnie Mauricio, and even Vientos. These were guys that were like on the fast track, took a little bit extra to get there, but now you're starting to see with consistent playing time and being a part of a Major League Baseball team that things can turn around.
I don't know if you remember, Mark, but as a prospect, Jared was like gap-to-gap power, high average. He was going to be primarily a doubles hitter. He was going to play great defense. He was going to steal bases. And then he like shows up in 2021 and his arms are massive.
Yeah, no, he felt like he was going to be like a Christian Yelich type player, where it was like maybe not center field at an elite rate, but he'll be a good corner outfielder and have like get on base too. He was patient. It's crazy. I remember seeing those pictures of him. I'm like, that's when I was like, I'm even more in. This guy's even stronger. Like, oh my God.
It's crazy. The Mariners failed him in a lot of ways. A lot of it's on him, but in a lot of ways they failed him. And it's not just the COVID thing, because nobody could control that. But They rushed him up extremely fast, because in 21, after basically not playing a whole minor league year, he didn't make the team out of camp. Do you remember in 21 how the minor league season was still delayed a month?
Yeah, it was still so weird.
Right. He played 6 games in AAA that year, and they're like, oh, he's good. Like, he's been off a year. Let's just yank him up. Because the offense was playing like dog shit. They said, we need somebody to save it, and it was a disaster. So,
and they hit him lead off.
In his first game. In his debut, he hit lead off.
Just a little bit of pressure right there.
As opposed to what we see with this current Mariners team, like you have a top 35 prospect in Cole Young who got 2 whole months in Tacoma. Then they bring him up, and he has been hitting 8th or 9th every single game he's been up. He's been hitting really well, Mark, for like the last month and a half. He's been amazing. He's not moved out of the 8 and 9 spot.
You know,
he's like the least amount of pressure.
He's one of those two where, like, for a while I was really into like home run picks because I can gamble out in Jersey and New York, and he always had like plus like 1,000. And I was like, his exit feelers are good. Like, this guy hits the ball hard. If he puts it in the air, he's got a shot to hit some home runs.
He's the longest home run for a Mariner this year.
Does he really? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. He hit one in the second deck in right field.
Like, he added some power this offseason, I think, and his profile ultimately hasn't changed that much in the sense of, which is a good thing, and I mean that in a good way, where very patient, knows the strike zone extremely well, draws his walks, but if you make a mistake to him, he'll punish it. Like, we're sitting here recording on Monday, and the Mariners are in the middle of a series with the Phillies, and he absolutely ambushed a ball at Citizens Bank because Jordan Romano made a massive mistake pitch, and he absolutely capitalized on it, and he crushed it. So it's funny, on those home run picks that you're going to make with good odds, not that Cole Young's going to ever hit 30 a year, but he will get into a few a year when you make a mistake, and he can actually hit it a long way. It's cool.
Yeah, and especially when they eventually get him towards the top of the order, which is what I think they probably project for him for the future. Like, he's going to be getting some big at-bats. He's a good ball player. I like Cole Young a lot.
And the difference between, I think, him and Jared when it comes to hitting the ball a lot harder, I think Jared put it in his mind that he's going to start hitting a bunch of home runs.
Yes.
I don't think Cole Young ever has in his mind that he's going to hit a bunch of home runs. I don't know if you noticed this on the swing here on Monday. That was like a 2-strike swing from Cole. He didn't even pick his foot up on that pitch, and he still smacked it out of the park. And it was one of the most impressive things. He's awesome. He's an awesome dude, awesome prospect, and the Mariners' second basemen have been dog shit for so long since Robbie left. Since we traded him to the Mets,
bad.
It has been a black hole of nothingness, and he's come in and saved it. So,
all right. Here's a good question for you because, you see these guys all the time. The Mariners are right in the middle of a series with the Phillies. When this episode comes out Wednesday, they'll get set for the finale. What do you make of the Phillies this year? Is it anything different than they've been in the last few seasons where it's just hit a bunch of home runs, pitch extremely well in their rotation?
No, I think they're the same team that they have been. It's like, I hate a lot of Mets fans are talking about the Phillies window closing, and I think we all understand from a roster standpoint that the Phillies window is getting smaller, right? Because Harper and Turner and all these guys are getting older, and Schwarber's a free agent at the end of the year. But at the end of the day, when things go right, if the Phillies go right, they're one of the 3 best teams in baseball on paper. I think there's no doubt the starting pitching is great. That lineup is good enough. I think the top is really great, and then you kind of like the rest of teams in baseball, the middle half to bottom is really not that strong. It's a little inconsistent. It's the bullpen. That's the biggest thing. That's what screwed them last year. If you look back at that Mets series, the bullpen cost them those games. They just couldn't hold a lead, which is music to my ears. But I don't know if they did enough to address it. We just saw Juan Duran get hurt too. That's scary for the Phillies because they need that bullpen because everything else is totally a World Series contending roster.
how do you stack up them and the Dodgers?
I don't know. I feel so weird about every team in baseball right now. The Dodgers are not screaming favorites to win the World Series right now. And a huge reason is Mookie being ill, basically, or whatever he's got going on. He's just not had a good season. Freddie Freeman's not hitting for power. But then Will Smith decides to be one of the best hitters in baseball, and you still have Ohtani and Teoscar and everybody. But this is also probably exactly what the Dodgers want. Coast into the playoffs, be healthy for when you get to October, and then go on an insane run like they did last year.
It is crazy how many injuries they endure in their rotation. They always usually seem to form their best of their best rotation come playoff time, and they seem to get all these guys back. But it is wild how many times year over year they go through so many arms, which is obviously played a part in this too.
No, they pump through guys, but they also look at guys that tend to have more injury risk too, because when they're healthy, like a Tyler Glasnow or a Blake Snell, they're the best pitchers in baseball.
I'd love to get to ask you about some American League teams too, but let's start with the Mariners first.
Sure.
What do you make of the Mariners right now sitting 2 or 3 weeks post-deadline?
I know it probably feels weird to say because you just lost to the Phillies and lost the series to the Mets, but I do think the Mariners are maybe the best team in the American League, at least on paper. I love the rotation. The bullpen's also very good. There's just a lot of really, really good arms and tough at bats, especially come playoff time when you have the strikeout like a Logan Gilbert does, or you have an Andres Munoz, who I know is a little bit of a heart attack king, but he still gets the job done seemingly every single time. The biggest thing and the biggest reason why I do believe in the Mariners as a legit World Series contender right now is the fact that they addressed the offense. They had the 2 massive holes in that lineup at third base and first base. Josh Naylor's awesome. I know Eugenio hasn't been playing up to par just yet, but I think he's going to turn it around. Those 2 bats added into that lineup, I was at the games this weekend watching the Mets and the Mariners. The lineup's deep. There's no easy outs anymore when they put out their best 9.
And that's what has people really excited. Everybody seems to say this is the deepest lineup they've had since arguably 2001 when they won 116. And this has been their theme year over year, that there just seems to be a spot or 2 every year that they don't address and it lingers. Where this year at the deadline, they had those couple of spots and they didn't mess around. They went out and filled them. Look, I know for a lot of people in the first 10 games, it's been a little bit of a slow start for Gino in his return to Seattle, but I think the 3 of us all know he is one of the streakiest hitters in baseball.
Yes.
So he's in the middle of a cold stretch right now, but then when he gets hot, he's going to hit, 4 home runs in 9 games or something like that.
And then just even going back to last year's deadline, grabbing Randy and how good Randy has been for that team and how awesome he is. That is one of the most underrated moves of the entire deadline, I feel in the last few years. You guys gave good prospects who are obviously doing great things for the Rays right now, but you kind of don't care because they're not helping you right now, where Randy is an impact player. He's an all-star. He's your leadoff hitter, and he's having a phenomenal year, which is something you don't see too often, as you guys know, from right-handed hitters in Seattle.
And that's what I was trying to push the mindset going up to the deadline, where you mentioned, like, yeah, they gave up good prospects, and I think Brody Hopkins and Aiden Smith, like, have real futures in Major League Baseball. I think the Mariners really liked those guys, and it hurt to give them up. But then look at the Mariners farm system 1 year later. After all of these trades, Randy, Josh Naylor, Gino Suarez, and you look at it, it's like, oh, the Mariners have 9 top 100 prospects.
Yeah.
Like trade the prospects. Trade them. You can replenish them.
I think you always have to trade the prospects. And especially, like, you're not giving up generational guys. If they end up being these all-star players, like, tip your cap to the team that traded for them. They developed them well. Good job. But, like, you're not trading Leo Dallas DeVries, like, who just got traded, like, by the Padres. Like, you haven't moved those guys yet. It's kind of a no-brainer for them.
Yeah. They're not trading Colt Emerson, for example. It is guys far below him that they're dealing away in these trades, which, like TJ said, you can bring back in future drafts or other trades,
If you guys are ever looking to trade Lazaro Montes, happy to take him. That's my guy.
Yeah, what are the Mets offering?
Don't worry about that. I'll pick him up. I'll drive him. It'll be fair. Just trust me.
So that's funny you say that. Laz discourse among the Mariner fan base has gotten very, I'll just say it's gotten very toxic, and we like Laz a lot. It's gotten toxic to the point where it's like, look, we love Laz. If it all clicks, he's got a chance to be a star. Obviously, he's got insane power. Yeah. Awesome dude. Like, we love it. We love talking to him every time we talk to him. But there are Mariners fans now who legitimately believe he's Babe Ruth. He's striking out a lot, which is a little bit of a red flag in Double-A. And it may change over time. He's still young. Again, he's got a long way to go, and he could clean it up over, the coming years. But I think where we stand and a lot of people stand is like, okay, this guy could be a real middle of the order bat if it all clicks and he draws his walks, he could hit home runs. He could be like a Kyle Schwarber, which would be awesome. But there are fans out here that have set the expectation that you can't trade him for, I don't know, you throw out an example. Like, you couldn't trade him for Jose Ramirez because you can't, or something like that, because you can't risk giving away future Babe Ruth, is what they'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it with the Mets prospects too. Like, the prospect hugging's crazy. For a guy like J-Ram, I'd give up anything in the Mets system. I'd give up everything in the Mets system. Like, you just, the prospects are prospects until, they make it to the majors and prove themselves, as we literally started this podcast talking about Jared Kelenic.
There was a time in, I think, June of this year, Julio is in one of his cold streaks. Like, this is probably the coldest of cold streaks this year. And let's see if I can remember this correctly, Lyle. It's like, maybe we should send Julio down and call up Laz to play me out.
Nice. Put him right in center field. I'm sure he plays just the exact same way.
Oh, my God. It's like Laz is like 6'5", 230.
It's baby Jordan.
He's lumbering, yeah. Unfortunately for him, Jordan never struck out 30% of the time in Double-A. So,
but I will let you say, for somebody who seems to really love Lazaro Montes, I'll let you tell the people, why do you love him so much?
Oh, he just has such a pretty swing, and he's so strong. And when he hits the baseball, it goes so far. Like, he's got, like, James Wood power, like O'Neal Cruz power. It's just something that, like, you can't really teach. He just has, because he's a massive human being. And his swing from the left side is pretty. He does swing and miss a lot, but that's one of those things that you take if you were like, how does 30 home runs a year sound? Like, yeah, don't really care. Strike out as much as you want.
We were trying to throw some comps out there for him. I mean, I don't know. You could take this as a positive or a negative, but I told Lyle, like, the best version of Adam Dunn. Like, that's not a bad player.
Yeah,
Adam Dunn was one of the most feared power hitters in baseball when he was good.
I'll tell you what, every single team in Major League Baseball would love to have a better version of Adam Dunn in their lineup right now.
Yeah.
I will say, we were down in Atlanta for All-Star Week, and during batting practice for the Futures game, he hit one basically to the top of the chop house, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah, his BP is different.
It wasn't quite where O'Neal Cruz hit that ball in the home run derby, but it wasn't that far off, and we were like, yeah, you talk about the power, and you're seeing it right firsthand. Like, that is very real.
Yeah, that's my boy. Shout out Lazaro Montes. Also, like, I think he watches my videos. He's, like, DM'd me on Instagram, so I also like that, too.
Oh, sick. Dude, he is genuinely awesome. He's like, if you ever meet him in person, he's like incredibly nice.
I'll have to make my way up to the Pacific Northwest maybe when he gets his call one day.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
If we were going to circle around the rest of the American League, just in terms of who the Mariners might see come the postseason, who to scoreboard watch throughout August and September. I'm trying to think where we even want to start. I guess the good place would be to start in the division. And as you watch the Astros from afar, and you watch plenty of national baseball on the daily, it's no secret that they have a ton of injuries and they're not the same team they've been in years past. But assuming they do get into the postseason, how much should people even fear them?
I think it's one of those weird things, like for Mariners fans specifically, where until you beat them, you can't like look past them just yet. But as a Mets fan, looking at the Astros, they don't scare me at all. The one thing that I think makes them so insanely dangerous, and it is important, Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez. Those two guys can literally win them a series. If those guys pitch on 3 days rest, if they pitch 2 of 3 games in a wild card series, or 3 of the 5 in the DS, like I don't know how you win a series against those guys when they're on. You can obviously get to them. They're humans. They're not, incapable of pitching poorly. But those two right there are pretty insane. I don't know, like Jeremy Pena's having a great year, but he didn't really make any changes to what he's been in the past. It just seems like he's pulling the ball a little bit more and getting a little more lucky. And then without like Yordan being Yordan, like there's just not a lot of punch in this lineup right now. With the Paredes injury, I know Correa is there, but like I feel like the Astros are really trying to ride on some vibes right now more than they are like true, actual good roster construction. The bullpen's nasty. Bullpen's good.
And we look at the Rangers, and you could make the very clear argument that the Rangers should be a better baseball team than the Astros, and you could even make the case for the Mariners too, but instead they've literally gone in the opposite direction. What's gone wrong for them?
They just can't hit. It's like a weird thing where this lineup, for some reason, on paper, you look at it, you thought this could be one of the best lineups in baseball top to bottom, and then this season, they can't hit. Marcus Semien falling off a cliff and Adolis Garcia being not very good. I think that's a huge part of it as well. Like Marcus Semien being so bad offensively this season is definitely hurting them. Jock Peterson was a failure. Wyatt Langford's been getting hot, but he hasn't taken that next step. It's just one of those teams that kind of probably stagnated a little bit too much this offseason rather than like actually pushing some chips in. It's also that still weird thing where it's like they won a World Series. They're not going to make any big changes yet, like being successful a few years ago.
It is crazy that here in August, because the Mariners recently just played a series against the Rangers, it is crazy that here we are, and I know Jock Peterson struggled, but the fact there's still days where he'll hit 5th or 6th for Texas, where he's running out about a 570 OPS, is crazy. Yeah. Like this guy's, I'm not saying he ever was like, he never lived up to the prospect hype he once had, but he crushes right-handed pitching, and he's always played a role on most of the teams he's been on, and now we sit, and it's just been the season from hell for the guy.
Yeah, Rangers have been mega disappointing. Like I thought that was like the clear and obvious, like we're not talking about them enough. Rangers are the best team in the American League going into the year. Couldn't be more wrong.
Do you buy the Yankees?
No, absolutely not. I think the Yankees stink. Aaron Judge is the Yankees. Like that's it. You look at the rest of the team, they have some good players, obviously. That's a little hyperbole, but like it's Aaron Judge. They live and die by him. And it makes sense. He's the best one-sided player in baseball because when Ohtani pitches, it's not close. But if he's not, we saw it in the playoffs last year, if he's not Aaron Judge, they don't win games. Like they could not win the World Series because Aaron Judge disappeared. So I don't buy this Yankees team. I look around the field. I like Jazz. I like some of their players, but I don't think they're very good. They bolstered the bullpen. I don't buy the starting pitching as much. I'm a Yankees hater, so we know that I'm going to side on this anyway, but I've been anti-Yankees for so long that I'm just going to stay with it because I don't believe in what Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone do over there. I think they just don't build winning teams.
Who gets more of that blame? I've seen a lot of heat at Boone these days.
I think it's Cashman. I don't know. Like I think he's riding a lot of the highs of the early 2000s, and then he really hasn't done anything since 2009. Like the Yankees made the World Series last year, but we know what happened. Like sometimes you catch fire, right? Like the Mets made the World Series in 2015. People aren't talking about Sandy Alderson as this generational, front office guy. Brian Cashman gets way too much credit, especially when you look at their farm system and how little prospect development there's been. Even the guys that they've traded out, there's like nobody in that system.
Spencer Jones has lost all his juice as a prospect.
And I actually like Spencer Jones, but like the guys that they've graduated have looked horrible. The guys that they've traded away have looked horrible. It's such a weird, there's like a weird excitement, or I should say like praise that Brian Cashman gets, and I still think sometimes we remember the good old days for the Yankees when truthfully they've not even been close to one of the most successful teams in the last decade.
Dude,
I think I was going to say, I think the best thing to come out of this Yankees farm system that I've only realized recently is that Clint Frazier has a podcast now. It's actually kind of interesting.
He is taking shots at the Yankees any chance he gets. And listen, I actually don't agree with any of the takes that he has because I think he's too much on the side of analytics suck. This is what ruined my career. Feels like sour grapes. But it's great content and it gets Yankee fans twisted, which is always something I love to see.
Okay, if Clint Frazier wants to do numbers on a podcast and he wants to get clicks and he wants to go viral on social media, the episode he has to put out, right? It needs to be, why were me and Miguel Andujar never packaged in a trade for a superstar?
Oh, of course. The clear and obvious best package that anyone could have ever gotten in a trade. Can't believe no one pulled the trigger.
Or he needs to sit there and he needs to publicly back both Aaron Boone and Anthony Volpe.
Yes,
on the same
that
episode.
Would be a good one. Yeah, that would really get the people going because boy, do they hate those two guys.
Oh, I love Volpe's defense. I mean, you just see the fundamentals he's putting out there.
Clean baseball,
it's the cleanest thing I've ever seen. Oh, Jason Dominguez is going to win the Platinum Glove in left field.
He's legitimately the worst defensive outfielder I think I've ever seen. For someone who plays the position, he's good in center, which is crazy.
Is it worse than Jesse Winker?
It's Jesse Winker has zero range, but he catches balls hit to him. Jason Dominguez makes routine fly balls look very difficult.
You know what,
Mark? The 1 year we got of Jesse Winker, it might have been the worst thing I've ever seen in the outfield.
No, he's really bad out there, which is why he will not play the outfield if he ever plays again for the Mets because he's been hurt for a while. Listen, Soto is giving Dominguez a run for his money, but there's clearly a big difference there with what those two guys can do.
But Mets fans love Jesse Winker, right? You guys love him.
Love him. Absolutely love him. And I think it's because we don't see him play the outfield. I think it's because we only see him hit. And what's funny is outside the playoff run, he has not been a good hitter for this team. So it's what have you done for me lately? That's kind of how Mets fans roll sometimes.
It's funny just because the storyline of his timeline with the Mariners is so
You guys
wild.
hated him, right?
I mean, he couldn't hit. He couldn't field. Apparently, he was I don't know if cancer in the clubhouse is too strong a word, but he was not exactly revered in that clubhouse. We know that. And then he
wasn't on the playoff roster.
No, yeah.
Well, he was injured because he had a neck thing, but at the same time, I don't know if he would have been on the playoff roster to begin with. So, yeah, the whole tenure of Jesse Winker in Seattle was really a disaster in that 1 year. And to TJ's point, maybe he catches more of the balls that come his way now in New York, and maybe he's slightly cleaned up a thing or two. But TJ's right. It was the single worst defense we'd ever seen from an outfielder in that 2022 season.
Oh, yeah, that's what made it even worse when he was on the Reds and he made a sliding catch against us and had these big games. This guy actually can't play the outfield, so these catches being made are crazy.
And on top of that, he didn't hit in Seattle at all.
No.
So the one thing he was supposed to do, it's they'll manage and he'll crush righties, but he didn't do either of that. It is funny how trades work out sometimes, that the throw-in of that trade happens to be now a cult favorite in Seattle for years and years. Gino. He was throwing.
That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, because they essentially had to take on his money to get Jesse Winker, but Gino had a 4-win year back in 2022, and then people fell in love with the guy. So it is wild how trades.
I completely forgot that Eugenio was part of that he came over. That's crazy. Yeah. Full circle moment, he's back.
I know. Yeah. It's wild. Okay, to keep circling around the American League a little bit, how high are you on the Tigers? Because they have cooled a little bit, but obviously they still have Tarek Skubal, and they still have a bunch of talented players on the roster. For a lot of the year, they've been the best team in the American League. So, where are you at right now here when we're recording August the 18th on the Tigers?
I like the Tigers, but I don't know why. I really can't put my finger on it. I didn't like them coming into the year, and for the same reasons that I didn't like them, I like them now. I think I'm just Stockholm syndrome into believing that they're probably just good. The thing that scares me is their starting pitching. You need some starting pitching for the playoffs. They kind of manufactured a little bit last year to sneak through the wild card, but outside of Skubal, I don't feel great about the other options there, like Jack Flaherty, Charlie Morton. Those aren't guys that I would feel confident in, especially when the lineup offensively, I think, is still about a league average hitting team.
Do you trust Casey Mize much or no?
I like Casey Mize. I don't know how much I trust him to go deep into a playoff game. I kind of like him more in that 3-inning, come in, throw as hard as you can, fastball splitters only.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, right now, who's your pick for MVP?
Big dumper. Let's go Cal Raleigh. I mean, that's a guy who's playing the toughest position in baseball every single day. He's got the most home runs in the league. He's driving in runs. He's playing great defense, throwing out runners, stealing bases too. He's stealing casually. What does he have, like 12, 13, 14 stolen bases?
Right now.
Yeah. Like, I think while Aaron Judge, we can all agree, is the best player of the two, give it to Cal Raleigh. He's been playing catcher every single day. Aaron Judge just missed some time. Give it to Cal. I don't think the Mariners are simply probably not a playoff team without Cal Raleigh this year.
And something that people haven't really mentioned that much, he caught him in WAR.
Yeah.
Like Judge had like a 2-WAR lead on him. And
it's close. It's unbelievably close. And I think narrative is always really important, right? And I do think writers are dying to give it to a catcher who's like just kind of, he's not an old school player, but I think old school people like Cal Raleigh.
Uh-huh. And you know what? He's done, and like his team around him's done a really, really good job this year of getting him out into the national spotlight. Not just him doing the Derby and winning it, but in the middle of the summer, he really did a full-scale media tour and was on every big national show and showed his personality, where he is very much out there in the national spotlight now. And I think along with how well he's played throughout the year, obviously, we all know what the narratives are, and especially when somebody like Aaron Judge, which we know what jersey he wears, is having a great year, how writers can often tend to vote. But along with what you said, which I think is right, that people love the idea of voting for a catcher, like media-wise, he's done a good job making sure he's in the center of the spotlight all year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens over this next like month and a half. If Judge cools off, if Raleigh kind of stays a little hot, because I know the Mets got him going right again, which was good, because I know he hit a bit of a skid where he was like only home runs pretty much, but it's a lot of fun. I'll be rooting for Cal Raleigh because it'd be sick to see him win an MVP.
Do New York people think Aaron Judge is too boring?
Yeah, Aaron Judge is so boring. But that's okay. Like Jeter was boring. Everybody loved Jeter. Now we know he was pretty cool, but like he was so boring to the media and like nationally. I think that's just kind of what the Yankees want. The Yankees have never been cool or interesting. They're just good and professional. Like that's their whole look.
Which is why the Jazz Chisholm trade last year was so out of the norm for them. That's just like so not the guy the Yankees put in their uniform.
No, George Steinbrenner rolling over in his grave. He's like, I can't believe we have this. I mean, him and like Stroman both like are guys that the Mets or the Yankees never would have gone after before, like for their on-field antics. And like, it's crazy to say, but like Jazz is so good. It's actually, I think, so good that they brought him in because for an organization that's so tight, to have a player like Jazz, it loosens you up so much. I know a lot. Jazz is polarizing, but I'm a big Jazz guy.
So am I.
And I think Jazz would have been a great addition for the Mariners.
He would have been. Yeah.
Would have decided to pull the trigger on that one.
He'd be a good addition for every team in baseball. He plays second, third, and center field, like at a really good defensive value too. Like he's awesome.
Last topic I want to get to you, Mark, before we let you go, is Rob Manfred on the broadcast between our two teams last night threw out, just so casually but very intentionally, the ideas of number one, expansion, and number two, geographic realignment of Major League Baseball. When you hear those words, what is your reaction?
Bad for the Mets. Really bad for the Mets, because all the geographic realignment that seems to be happening will be the Mets, Red Sox, Phillies, and Yankees. And those four teams right there are like 4 of the 8 that actually choose to spend money and trying to be competitive every single year now. It feels like a real disadvantage if you're one of those teams because you're just going to absolutely cannibalize each other in that division. I love the American League and National League. I don't really want to change it. Let's add a 6th team to a division again. We've done it before. We did in the NL Central, like, I don't know how many years ago that was, but they had 6 teams. Throw another team out there. Like, I don't really want to mess around with it. I think Manfred is looking for anything to like leave his stamp because I do think he said he's going to retire after the next CBA is done. Mm-hmm. I think he's looking for something because hopefully the salary cap's not going to be like the lasting memory of what Rob Manfred did for baseball.
I got to say, if we're talking about team perspective and how it looks for the outline or the future success of certain teams, you look at that Jim Bowden article that gets put out there, and while you as a Mets fan have the Mets, Yankees, Phillies, and Red Sox, the Mariners had the Rockies, A's, and Giants. I'm like, well,
you feel pretty good about that.
Like,
let's do it.
I was like, I love the 2 leagues too, and I don't really want to get rid of the AL and the NL, but if this is what the divisions are going to be, I mean,
yeah, you'd sign up for that every single day. I think I saw there were 2 other divisions on there where I was like, guys, there's like nothing here. I think one of them was like the expansion team, the Braves, the Rays, and the Marlins. I'm like, okay, great. Braves get to win the division every year for the next 20 years again. Like, how are they going to be gifted this? They get to own the Southeast. Now they literally get to own the Southeast. And then I think there was another division where it was like, oh yeah, it was the Pirates, the Nationals, the Orioles, and I can't remember what the other team was. Maybe like the Reds or something.
Yeah, it would probably be the Reds.
And I was like, that division stinks. Those are 4 teams that don't try to win at all. Like, this can't happen.
Yeah. It would be wild. And again, from the Mariners standpoint, from the Mariners standpoint, not only is the division extremely weak, but their travel schedule just improves tenfold. Because, like, something you guys don't have to deal with is crazy travel schedules, because everybody in your division is relatively close, and even the central divisions are relatively close. The Mariners, man, they will fly 5 hours from Seattle to Texas, like, for 2 different teams to play the Rangers and the Astros.
I never even considered that. Yeah, Seattle to Texas is like extremely far. And then if you ever play the Rays in Tampa, if you play the Mets or the Yankees on the East Coast, like you're doing 6.5 hour flights pretty consistently. That is a really good point, man. You guys get screwed, huh?
So, does anyone know how the schedule breakdown works with this new schedule? Are like the Mariners division games would be closer. What about the rest of them?
That's also a good point. We have no idea what would go on, because how many games would you even play in division? I think, like, ultimately we probably end up getting rid of divisions. I think it just becomes like American League, National League. Mm-hmm. That would be the realignment. If there was any that needed to happen, I'd propose, because I think, like, geographically we shouldn't have to decide who makes the playoffs based on where you are geographically. But at the same time, like, I understand why baseball has it like that. You want to make sure you cover the entire United States with playoff teams.
But the other thing that doesn't really make sense, I would say, with what Manfred said was that, you know, they're trying to ease travel schedules, but then a couple of years ago they changed it so you have to play every single team every year instead of playing more games against the teams in your division.
Yes.
That part I don't get.
No,
that part I don't understand.
We also know, I don't know if you guys have noticed this quirk too, we moan about it all the time on the Messed Up podcast, where we're like, for another National League team, let's just pretend it's going to be like the Cubs, right? We'll play the Cubs in Chicago. We'll play another game on the road. We'll come home. We play the Cubs again. First team back on the homestand. We're like, why are we playing all our games against teams in our league within a 2-week span? Like, I hate the new schedule. It's so bad. So, yeah, the realignment is something I am not for. I don't think baseball needs expansion right now. I think everything is really good. And for a league that has a lot of owners that already like to cry poor, I don't think bringing in 2 new ones is going to help.
And 2 new ones in small markets.
Yes.
Might I add. And you're adding a third one in Vegas.
Yeah, I don't love it.
No, I'm totally with you on that. That, like, baseball's in a very good spot as it is with the 30 teams. But you are right. Maybe a lot of people out east or nationally just don't think about it that much with the Mariners. But their travel schedule, that's a real thing. Like, all the things working against the Mariners to try to bring in players, it is a decent laundry list. And I get, like, when it all comes down to it, if you pay a guy enough money, they'll go, and the Mariners usually do not do that. But ballpark's insanely tough to hit in. Travel schedule's crazy. Historically, they don't win. There's, like, a lot of things that work against them in trying to bring players in.
It's the batter's eye, right? That's, like, the biggest thing that people complain about.
Yeah, so you know what? It's, like, that was a big storyline last year, but it feels like that's kind of been watered down a little bit, because it was essentially only Teoscar Hernandez that said it was a problem, and it became a big story. But Mike Petriello, if I have this right in the article he wrote about the difficulties of hitting in Seattle, I think he outlined that, do I have this right, TJ, that he outlined that the batter's eye ended up being a little bit overblown, that whole narrative?
Well, Teoscar's beef was that it was crooked. Petriello said that he found better results looking at, like, glare and, like, twilight.
That's crazy.
And, like, how the sun reflects off of it.
Yeah.
Mike Petriello's a freak. I love Mike Petriello.
So much smarter than us. It's unreal.
So smart.
It's crazy. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't want realignment, and I hope they don't do it.
And I hope the Mariners don't change their ballpark either, because it's like, good, have an advantage.
Yeah.
Why are we getting rid of an advantage?
You guys
don't
usually
understand.
Do really well at home, so I mean,
right.
They won 60% of their games at home last year. It's like, don't change it. Don't listen to Teoscar Hernandez. He did not want to sign here.
He doesn't play here anymore. Yeah.
No, exactly. He doesn't. Marc, this has been awesome. Friend of the podcast, friend of everything between Lyle and I. This is awesome. Appreciate you taking some time for us. Congrats almost on 300,000. That's awesome for you. We look forward to having you back on soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Always excited. And let's go Mets. Let's go Mariners, too. I'm rooting for you guys.
Shout out Marc. We had a blast talking to him. As always, again, if you're interested, you can go check him out on YouTube. That's at GiraffeNeckMarc, all across social media as well. He's awesome. He does some great content. You can also check out the Mets Stuff podcast if you're interested to hear about the Mets. You get that wherever you get your podcasts. So, yeah, he's awesome. Again, he's been a friend of ours for a while, and I don't think that realignment subject's going away. TJ's right. I think we're going to talk about that at some point again down the road. There's a chance we do it multiple times. I don't know exactly when, but that conversation's not going away. So it was fun to hash that out a little bit with Marc. That just about wraps up this edition of the Marine Layer podcast. You guys know the drill. If you want to find the full form podcast, you can do so wherever you get your podcasts. If you're on audio, please make sure to rate and review 5 stars. Download the episodes. Go like, comment, subscribe over on YouTube, especially if you're watching. You guys see it if you're on YouTube. You see the subscribe button. That's the best way you can support the channel. Just take half a second to click the button, and it really does support the two of us. You can find everything over at our website. That's marinelayerpod.com. We'd love to see you wearing your merch. It's been awesome to see people wearing it around the ballpark. We want to see more of it. So come on. Let's see more of it around the park. The community building of that aspect has been awesome. We'd love to see it continue. You can also sign up for our Patreon and make sure to attend our next live show. That's this Saturday after the Mariners-A's game, after the game over at the Hall on Occidental on the north end of Lumen Field on Occidental Avenue. We're just going to be hanging out with you guys, taking your questions, having some drinks, talking ball. We'll get people on the mic. It's going to be really fun. So come on out to it this Saturday after the Mariners-A's game over at the Hall on Occidental. So again, all of that, all of our information is over at our website, marinelayerpod.com. And you can find us across social media at marinelayerpod. That's TJ. I'm Lyle. As always, we thank you guys for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.